Once you become untethered from political parties, reality looks a little bit different. At the very least, the way you look at political affairs in the nation itself. Even though you look at parties and the things that they do in parties, you're somewhat off kilter of the wavelength that these guys tend to be on. You can like people of other political dispositions and other political parties, even though you don't necessarily like the totality of what they bring to the table. In this case, Ron Paul is one of those people to me. Don't necessarily like everything that Ron Paul espouses. Ron Paul tries to stick to an ideology, and sometimes it comes to odd conclusions that I don't particularly like. But nevertheless, on issues of foreign policy and on this issue of allowing the United States to deal with affairs of the United States as opposed to sticking its nose in other countries' business, that I like a lot. That is an ideology that is consistent to me. Even his son, Rand Paul, same thing. It is an ideology that is consistent to me. You get into the domestic front and they're talking about getting rid of the Department of Education. It lose me. Check, please, I walk. But when Rand Paul is talking about foreign policy, I like what Rand Paul is saying. And Ron, for that matter, is that. Here's the thing. Tulsi Gabbard, the closest person to hit that bell, to hit that note, to resonate at that level, is Tulsi Gabbard. And done so ideologically consistently, I would say, for the most part. I mean, you can get into certain debates when you get into issues of India and Modi and that type of stuff. But from the way she's espoused foreign policy, she has been legit to me, and I like her a lot. Ron Paul was asked this question. Apparently, I'm not one of her only fans. There's somebody else who likes her a lot also.
About the Democratic candidates right now. Who do you like and who do you not like?
Well, there's a lot of choices there. If you said, I'm going to give you a quiz, Ron, I want you to name all 20, I'd say, no, just give me a D-. Tulsi Gabbard is by far the very, very best. And she's very, very liberal when it comes to economics. We probably wouldn't agree with too much on economics, but she is good on the foreign policy. She does not want these engagements, which is an economic issue. We'd say.
I want to play the entirety or take the entirety of this video, but you heard what he said. That's an economic issue. Why would Ron Paul say, why would Ron Paul say that? I'm about to say Rand. Why would he say that? Why would he say that? Why would he say issues of foreign policy are really economic issues? Because they are. They are. How are you paying for the boats? How are you paying for the bombs? How are you paying for the military? Do you realize half of the money that we spend on military is on personnel? Isn't that amazing? Nearly $1 trillion. We spend more just on personnel than other countries spend on the entirety of their military. That's a fascinating thing. We have to pay for that stuff. Where we're paying $500 billion. That money could be used for the domestic front. Think of you cut your military budget in half. That's nearly $500 billion, almost, for domestic consumption that has been frittered away, blowing stuff up, killing people, setting things on fire. And guess what? When you do that, those people start hating your guts. They start disliking you a lot, and the world becomes far less safe, especially if you're a part of the government that's responsible for blowing up their school, blowing up their bus, killing their kids, keeping their people in a concentration camp or being allied with people, not concentration camp, in an open-air ghetto. But you get my point. It's a domestic issue because there are money that has to be spent on war. And it's not just money that you get back per se. That's money that promotes more war. The more things you set afire, the more things you have to set afire. Ron Paul has an amazing point. Has an amazing point. And yeah, Tulsi Gabbard has another endorsement. Shout out to Tulsi Gabbard. I would imagine this will be contingent upon who's the Republican putting up, but Ron Paul often is honest that the Republican Party is not nowhere near as, is not as any better than the Democratic Party on blowing up the budget. I think I've heard him say this much. So, Tulsi Gabbard, you have another fan. I'll leave it here. Thanks all. I'll see you momentarily.